Time being 7:03, I will call a common council meeting to order. Could we have roll call, please?
Iverson.
Here.
Schatzinger.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Gallops.
Here.
Kane.
Here.
Kotsky. Sorensen. Here. Split.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I am Ezgi Serbe-Perkins. I'm the priest of St. Peter's Episcopal Church. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold office in the City Council of Ripon the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people through Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Thank you.
Right. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Howard, seconded by Jolene. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Was there any public comment? No public comment. All right. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the informal reports from standing committees and staff as published?
So moved. Second.
Moved by David, seconded by Doug. Any discussion, or would anyone like to pull any of the reports? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are approved. Next item is the consent calendar. Only item there is common council minutes for 3 meetings. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Jonathan, seconded by Alan.
She said I could have it.
Ladies first.
Any discussion? None. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. All right, first agenda item is pay application number 6 for the Senior Activity Center Trailhead Project. This is in the amount of $233,069.60. Staff recommends approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment, $233,069.60.
Second.
It's been moved by David, seconded by John. Any discussion?
Adam, where are we on the payouts on this?
Pretty far along.
Looks like we might have one more after this.
One more. They are considered, I would say, substantially complete. MSA was on site yesterday. Myself and Amanda went up there, toured the facility with them. There's some final punch list items, a couple things for them to correct. So then basically we got appliances delivered on Monday. We have furnishings and a couple other things to put up there, AV equipment, so on and so forth. So we'll piece it all together. Been talking with Noreen. Realistically, with all that stuff coming in probably the next month and a half yet, we'd be looking at December, with the goal of having Harmony done pretty much by that point, with maybe a little retainage going into next year for any small things that happen. They obviously warranty work, but you know, the goal is to get this wrapped up by substantial completion already. That's basically where we're at. I would say we're 95% of the way there. So overall, you know, it's coming together, and it's just sort of these final elements and pieces to put together. And we certainly understand the desire to open, but conversations with Noreen have been, we want to open when it is complete.
Thank you.
David?
Nope. He asked my question for me. That's exactly what I wanted to know.
What is the length of the warranty? Is it just a year?
Yeah, I believe most of it's a year.
Okay.
I mean, and then there are warranties on obviously some of the, roofing or some of that material,
Right,
but
yeah.
the contractor's work is a year.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving pay application number 6, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you. Next item is the creation of the City of Ripon Community Fund. Adam.
So Aaron Sadoff is here from the Fond du Lac Area Foundation. So just to give you a little background, in doing some research and kind of just paying attention to what's happening around us, I noticed that the City of Ripon recently created what was the Ripon Community Fund. So I started to look into that. They created that fund through the Fond du Lac Area Foundation. I reached out to the city and tried to get a little bit more background on it, and then that led me to reaching out to the Fond du Lac Area Foundation. Ultimately, the idea here is to create a City of Ripon Community Fund within the portfolio of the Fond du Lac Area Foundation. Really, what we're trying to accomplish is creating an opportunity for the community to fundraise for certain priorities and projects that we may want to consider doing, whether that be parks, historic preservation, community development, any of those things. What I have found is that, for example, with the Senior Activity Center, I think the city had missed a tremendous opportunity to do more fundraising. At the same time, staff resources toward fundraising, council resources toward fundraising, it sort of doesn't make sense because we also are the ones that are, whether it's a conflict of interest or there is the idea that we are taxing and we have money, so why are you asking me for more money? It doesn't really make sense. So how do we supplement what we are doing with an appropriate way to engage the public to raise funds to get more projects done? Because we will have a laundry list of them from just the parks perspective. So that led me to reach out to the Fond du Lac Area Foundation. And Aaron, you can certainly introduce yourself and talk about kind of what you've done in other communities and why I think this partnership would be great.
Well, thank you, Adam. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I love the efficiency that everybody's kind of like making first and kind of everybody wants to get in there, so well done. Been to many public meetings, and this is my first one that I've ever been to in this role. For the previous 25 years as in public education, and the past 13 as a superintendent of the school district North Fond du Lac. So I know Dr. Whitrock and Rip, and you guys got a great community. I'm really excited to be the executive director of the Fond du Lac Area Foundation. And just really quick, a background on that. The foundation was established by Mr. Tonjes in 1975 with one fund for $50,000 for a group home for adults with disabilities. And since then, we are now currently at about 480 active funds, 516 total funds. Our portfolio is about $62 million. It got up to $72 million, before we started to see some adjustments. And we've been able to do a lot of different things and help many people reach their giving needs and what they'd like to do. And what was really neat is when my associate Kayla and I came over and talked to Adam and his team, the question was what do you want to do? How can the Fond du Lac Area Foundation help? What are your passions for giving, utilizing donations? And with the City of Ripon, it's kind of unique. You have people who want to help, and those monies come in, and how do those monies get accounted for, where they're at? You guys have a good system already, but this is just another way that by establishing a designated fund is what it would be. It's designated that the only place any of the resources can go is to the City of Ripon. So as this goes on, Adam working with you guys in the team, you find out how that you can build an advisory group to figure out, okay, how do we access those? Who then can call for those? And you can develop that amongst yourselves. All we need to know is exactly who do we listen to and who gives us our direction? And we sit there and we give you a lot of services. Not only by having a fund with Fond du Lac Area Foundation, do you have your money in a separate area where you can see the accounting, we can take care of it. People can donate at any time anonymously. They can do it through their trust and wills, and it can go to the Fond du Lac Area Foundation right into the Ripon Community Fund. Another thing with every one of our funds, we are nationally accredited. All of them allow that anybody can donate to the City of Ripon Community Fund. So if you have other people, as Adam was saying, it's difficult to, hey, give this to the police or give this to the EMT, or hey, somebody wants to do that. You have one area where all those things can go, and they go to the foundation, and then you have access to those funds. This would also be non-endowed, which means it can be spent down. So that's something that you have the ability to do. And then also it's you have minimal risk. We have a great policy for how we invest it. We have U.S. Bank and also National Exchange Bank, and with each one of those banks we have 3 different buckets of different levels of risk. So, the market hasn't been going that well, but we've seen great things in the past, and we look forward to continuing to take care of all of our fund holders. Not only that, but we have an amazing team. Talking with Adam, when you start to have events, or you start to maybe say we want $25,000 to go to this project or whatever, you also have a marketing and communications team. We can help with press releases. We can help you with anything that you need. So when you open up a fund with Fond du Lac Area Foundation, you get us to be there to help you meet your needs for your community and how we can help. And then another thing too is the transparency of it all. It's going to the foundation, and it's not the foundation, once it becomes in a fund here, it's not any one council person who was ever sitting in Adams or Theodore's chair. That money is for the continuation, perpetuity until it's spent down of Ripon. So there's a lot of upside, and I really appreciate Adam's team talking. We're really excited to take Fond du Lac County. You are definitely part of our community, and we're definitely excited to be here to serve you and your community's needs and give you another avenue to have the people who love and are proud of this community given a way to help it grow and meet the needs of all your different constituents. So at that, I'm ready for any questions, or if you need anything else. Yes?
I don't have a question, but I do want to remind folks in Ripon that when the National Guard 127th returned from Iraq, we had a welcome home event, and we had brought in way more money than we needed. And so Megan McNamara and I went to the foundation, and we set up an account, which I think is still in existence.
Probably so.
And it is specifically for those veterans of that deployment to access funds should they need them. And it's anything from utilities to food to, if they lose their job, it helps with paying for bills for those folks. So we've had a very good experience with the Fond du Lac Area Foundation.
Thank you. And another thing too, none of this is taxpayer money. We won't take any of the money that you raise from your taxes. This is all donated funds. So that's another thing that's very clear, is no money that's levied or brought in by taxpayers goes there. This is all donated funds. You might have also heard sometimes people say, in lieu of flowers, please give to a charity. People who love the city of Ripon and want to give back. Now this will be another avenue, another vehicle that they can show their gratitude, that then designated only the city of Ripon. However you set up those disbursements, what that looks like, we will be there to help and honor that. Thank you.
I'll add that when I used to be a school counselor in the area, I had, you have a great reputation in the area. And so it's great to be reconnected in this capacity, and for you to be also serving our city and wider county. Question as far as, you said perhaps folks want to give to certain areas you alluded to. Let's say someone wanted to support the police. Can they, when they make a donation to this fund, can they specify? I understand that unrestricted funds that we can decide go to greatest need is always typically the best. But if someone wanted to restrict, could they?
So yes, so what would happen, anytime we would get any donation would come to us, and let's say there is one that wants to help with police, we would let you know. And then it's up to you to keep accounting of what money is for what. We won't do that, but you can, if that comes, anytime that somebody comes with a donation for a specific cause, we will make sure that Adam or the team, whoever knows that, hey, we just got $700 and it's meant for EMT. Or we just got a $1,100 check from somebody's that just passed away, and they want to make sure that it goes to park beautification. We'll get that information to you, and then you manage how those monies go out. So we're not, So that's what's beautiful about this fund. We get the money in, we'll tell you everything that we know when it comes in, and then whatever the group that set up the advisory board, and that's another thing, we can help you with that. If you want some help of looking at what that looks like, how that can be done, this has been done in different areas and with different groups, families, different other funds, so you can reach out, we can help you through that process too.
So and I'll just note that on the program information here on the agreement, there's $106,000 that the city of Ripon has currently in our accounts that's been donated funds that are just sitting there that would seed this fund. We would get rid of it and put it there because the current practice has been not so great, and we track it so that we'll continue to be tracked. However, putting it there is just a more comfortable place than what we currently do, and it sort of puts money there to kickstart this project and other projects. So, and then like we said, there's an advisory board. We'd be looking for community members to help be sort of the cheerleaders for that. There's, you know, it's sort of kind of a wing of the city or an arm of the city, just working with staff and us here to prioritize and help raise funds. But overall, Ripon, I know Oakfield has a fund, Beaver Dam has a fund, and Ripon just started theirs last year, and they've had pretty good success and raised over $100,000 this year to support community efforts. So,
One thing that I was very impressed with Adam when we met
thank you.
is that whole desire to not just have it be on the shoulders of all of you to decide where all this money goes, but to have the community involvement. Because we know that you guys are brave enough to run for election, but there's a lot of different voices out there and people who want to get behind things and that have resources that if they feel they have voice and choice can really make some things happen. So I'm very excited to have our team serve you, and we'll be there, like I said, not only just for funds and managing that money with I have a board of 11 great people, professionals in Fond du Lac, in the Fond du Lac area, but also from a standpoint of social media. We're going to also be redoing our webpage. As we get that, we'll also work with Ripon. You will have an offshoot of that webpage that will be the City of Ripon Community Fund. So you can give it to people. They can go right on, and that's going to be done about February. They can go right there, get more information. So I appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to serving your needs.
Just a point of clarification, Adam, with that 106, some of those monies are already earmarked.
Yes, they would all remain earmarked.
So just back to
Yeah.
clarification question. That you're going to be able to give to a specific aspect of the city and know that the money is going to go to that purpose. The advisory committee will just support that, if you will, and obviously create more opportunities, but those dollars that have already been earmarked will stay earmarked, and Aaron highlighted that,
Yep.
that this doesn't become a slush fund.
Nope,
It
and that's
has
your responsibility,
categories.
which you already have those earmarked. And one of our promises to you that whenever we get money in, if it's a $5 check, if it's a $50,000 check, and there was anything that came with it, we will tell you what their wishes were for those donors too.
Solid.
I make a motion that we have administration create a City of Ripon Community Fund with the Fond du Lac Area Foundation.
I second it.
Motion by Ellen, second by Jolene. Any discussion on that motion?
Just want to reemphasize for the people at home that, as Adam said, that this $106,000 is money that we have that's been donated. It's not from any budget area. It's not from taxpayer dollars, just as a reminder.
Yep. And I would just say the majority of it is Chief Wallner and the police department's K-9 fund. So, so that's the majority of that fund.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the creation of the City of Ripon Community Fund, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys, and let us
Thank
know
you.
we can do a
Yeah,
press
you bet.
release.
Thank you.
We'll get it all set up.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Do we need a separate motion for the advisory board?
No,
That's part of it? All right. All right, moving on then to the resolution to write off ambulance bills. Looks like this one is a substantial number, but it's from a long time ago. $31,945.22, dating as far back as April 30th, 2016. Most of it is either statute of limitations or the patient is deceased and has no estate.
Make a motion to write off the ambulance bills for the total of $31,945.22.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Howard, seconded by Page. Any discussion? Hearing none.
I think
Oh,
we
go
went
ahead.
through this before, but there's quite a process in place to contact these folks. They've been contacted multiple times, multiple ways.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to reiterate that this is not the first time that we're making this decision lightly.
No, and many of these are out of state or unavailable, and as indicated, many end up indigent. There's nothing to collect from, and if they die without an estate, there's no claim that can be made. Statute of limitations is 6 years, and once the account has been worked and every avenue for insurance collection has been exhausted, the question of investing $100, $150, $200 against some of these accounts just doesn't make sense when you're going to get a piece of paper that's never going to be collectible. And just to highlight that we have made the transition, obviously, to our new people that are going to be doing this, and so this is kind of a cleanup as much as anything, and bringing us forward to where we are with LifeQuest.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the resolution to write off ambulance bills, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you. All right, 2023 budget update and review. Adam.
All right, I have a quick presentation. It's promised not to be as long as the last one, but I wanted to give you a brief update on some of the stuff we're working on with the budget ahead of next meeting. So as promised from last week, we do have our wastewater and our water budget included in your packet, or I sent it out today and then put it on your desk. So the wastewater budget, we have been talking about rate increase. There's going to be a recommended rate increase in the general sewer service charge and sewer user charges of about 50% to cover additional needs within the sewer department. We've been talking a long time about this. We'll present that moving forward in a fee resolution and an ordinance change, because currently the fees are written in the ordinance and we want to get away from that practice. So we'll be able to look at that. So as you can see here, the general service charge will go from $18.09 to $27.13, and then the user fee would be $2.66 to $3.99. So that's sort of to create extra room in the budget to do some of the things that we need to do. Highlights in that budget include the DNR required replacement fund, where we have to set aside money for replacement. Miscellaneous infrastructure, a lot of things that we've been working on over the last year or so, including a SCADA system upgrade, meter replacements, and then also an HVAC upgrade at the treatment plant that's in dire need of an upgrade. We also have the planned sewer jetting and televising that we started this year in the budget, as well as then, we continue to see some costs elevate significantly, including sludge storage, which is about $190,000, $40,000 increase. So there's a lot of detail in the sewer budget. Jeremy's here too, certainly can answer any questions. I think the general concept here is to recommend a rate increase and then also review the overall structure of rates as we move forward, particularly with industrial users, because that has not been updated as well. So overall, the budget remains relatively, without a rate increase, we would be in trouble. So we need to address that. But it remains relatively flat overall in term, well, not flat, actually, the expenditures are down about 21% from last year. Last year, obviously, we did the budget. It was kind of guessing, so we did overestimate a lot of, we planned to do a rate increase last year, or this year, we never did it. So now we're back to it with Jeremy in the loop and have a plan in place for that. In terms of water budget, so no rate increase included in this budget. We will continue to work on that rate increase. Or sorry, rate case with our auditors. So we're working on that as we speak, and but we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves in it. So this budget does not have any rate increase, but we would be looking at that moving forward here into 2023 as well. Just to be clear, the last rate increases, it's been 7 years. So, so it's time that we review these things. Reformatting and reorganizing this department by divisions happened in this budget, so you'll see some things completely zeroed out, or because they've been lumped together into one kind of division or one area within the division. The idea there is to help Jeremy and his team with the PSC reporting, everything that happens there. They're pretty complex, but overall simplifying the budget to say, instead of having, for example, a source and supply division, operating supply and small equipment, and then supplies and expenses, you're lumping it all into one. So just condensing that down, because this budget is a large budget for, frankly, the amount that we do with it. Overall, then condensing that down, things look a little funny, but we're actually not doing so bad this year in terms of our budget to expenditures. And really what we're doing in this budget is identifying some of the main things here that I've listed as the highlights. $75,000 for wellhead work, which we need to do at well 5, corrosion control, which we've talked about a lot, adding treatment at the wells. So that's a deficiency that we need to create or address. We have $50,000 to begin pilot wells for a new well. So that's engineering as well as drilling pilot wells. That's a noted deficiency. SCADA system, continue working on that project. Vents and overflows, which were deficiencies rated ranked in our last sanitary sewer. We have $50,000 in meter replacements, so we're about doubling or 2.5 timesing the amount of meters we want to buy next year. So between the two funds, there's about 100,000. Usually we're at about 40,000. Reason being, as you remember, maybe from the report, we have to do inventory of housing. So we got pipes and houses. So as we go through those inspections, we need to also change out the meters. So as we have 500 manual reads still in the system, we need to get those out in the next 2 or 3 years. And that $4,000 total of inspections we have to do helps us chip away at those manual reads. And then finally, we have $10,000 in there to clean one of the water towers, because it's out there and it needs to be cleaned. Not painted, that's a lot more expensive, but we'll get there someday, Jeremy. And we'll have a big debate about what goes on the... So overall, both of the budgets there, certainly we'll have another discussion in a couple weeks, so you can look it over, but that's sort of the summary. Both of them continue to have some financial challenges, some a little worse than the sewer department this year, a little worse than the water department, but we're also monitoring the audit report to make sure that we're doing okay there, okay? Any questions on water or wastewater? If you have anything come up over the next week or so, let me know.
For clarification,
Yep.
I heard you say that, well, I mean, it says here, no rate increase included for the 2023 budget.
Yep.
But that we will be looking at an increase.
Yeah.
So are you saying that we are still going to add that into this budget, or you're
No.
talking in 2024?
No, we wouldn't add it in the budget. The PSC guides us on what rates. We can't predict that. The PSC will tell us. So the idea here is to put the things in the budget that we need to do to address our deficiencies and to highlight what we need to do, but not increase the revenue because we don't know what that number is going to be. But as we go through the rate case, they will tell us what it'll be and then they'll go into effect at that time.
I
So
see.
we're not going to predict what they're going to say at this point because we just don't know. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and over, like in last year's budget, we projected a rate increase that we never did. So, that's why it kind of looks funny. So we're not going to do that again. We're just going to project it out to what it is today and then go back and the rates, if they have to increase, the PSC will tell us what that is through the rate case.
I understand that from our perspective. When I first heard it, I was thinking of, from the consumer at home, it almost seems like no rate increase included in the budget. That means there will be no increase for them, but there could be. So if someone's at home, this is not a statement on, this is just saying we're not going to budget that in for our purposes.
We don't know what it is, so I don't feel comfortable budgeting it.
But there could be one coming up.
Yep, that's why we're filing the rate
Yes.
case. So just to give you a little bit of an update as well, a couple changes we've made to the general fund budget, and we will also distribute this probably at the end of this week as a final package to you all, okay? So we have updated our preliminary tax levy and mill rate, so we project a drop in the updated total levy, and we project a drop in the mill rate from last week. So basically, we look at 885 as the mill rate instead of, I believe, $899. So it'll hover somewhere in there when the assessed value comes in. Overall, there is an increase in the library allocation of 1% as they requested. I will note that their fund balance from 2020 to 2021 went from $373,000 to $515,000. Yes.
If you don't mind, I'd like to talk about fund balance for a little bit, because I understand libraries are a different animal. I dealt with libraries in 3 different counties. But at the fire district, we had a very, very healthy fund balance that we found levy was in. Has there been any determination if there is taxpayer levy or property tax in the $515,000?
I have asked that question of the library and have not been given an answer.
Well, we need an answer because we found that financially things need some revamping, and you've been doing a very good job of that. But if there is any levy in that $515,000, it is not good practice to continue to tax taxpayers when money is sitting in an account. If all the money can be designated as donations from friends of the library, then that money is restricted. But if there is any levy in there, I urge the library board to consider doing a fund balance transfer to the budget for this year, because you don't put taxpayer property taxes into a savings account. It's not done.
Just to follow up on that, it is my understanding that with the library budget, that is correct, that it is not good practice to do that. It is legal to do that, but you are correct, it is not good practice.
I think it's fair for the taxpayers of Ripon to know that when they pay property taxes, they're paying for services. We, as stewards of that money, have a responsibility to be accountable and use the money wisely. One does not put property tax levy into a savings account while continuing to increase taxes for taxpayers. I have no problem with a library fund balance with donations, but it is disingenuous to put levy in to a savings account.
So, and we had this I had the conversation with the library last year, asking them for more clarification and with the auditors, so we will dig into that. The other side of this is, if they are raising funds and they commingle.
Correct.
Funds between donated and property tax funds, they are all property tax funds. That's how they're classified. So I've expressed this to the library, and it has, there's been no action on their end.
Well, there's been a problem in Ripon for the last 10 years with not accounting for funds correctly.
This is why we created the Ripon Community Fund, frankly.
Absolutely.
This kind of conversation. But nonetheless, the overall total levy that we could ask for is 3.865. We are dropping that down to 3.820. Some of that goes to debt, a small increase for the library, and then we did drop the request on the general fund by around $50,000. So that's the top versus the bottom. So that's going into the budget that you will see and have in your hands at the end of the week. Okay, so the general fund update. Well, how did that all happen? Okay, we received more aid from the general transportation aid because we were spending more money in transportation, as I showed you last week about the average of 6 year versus 3 years. So we had a bump, about a healthy bump of $65,000. We also decreased some Parks and Rec director insurance because we had overshot that in the budget, so that was $10,000. We added $4,000 to sidewalk. So by the time you add library, you add a little sidewalk maintenance program. You add, you pull out tax levy, you get to a point where we're at 7.9% expenditure restraint of an 8.1 limit. So other than that, the budget has remained as presented to you. So those are the changes. You have a copy of this. I will post everything as well online for residents to see from this budget and presentation. But overall, if you have any questions, we can let me know. But next meeting, we'll do a resolution for summary budget publication. So if there's anything that comes up that we want to change, we still have obviously until the public hearing in November. But if there's anything else or concerns, let me know. But we'll get you kind of a final draft by the end of this week.
Speaking of sidewalk, I don't know if this sort of fits in here, but in my neighborhood, there's been a lot of torn up sidewalk because of the work that was been doing on the natural gas lines. Now, that is not coming from the city, but just as a clarification.
The contractor has a significant bond with the city. They are to repair and restore everything to the condition it was when they were there. They have been through and done some sidewalk restoration already. It may take them some time now with it being cold out. They may not get it done, but I'm assuming they will. And if they don't, we have a healthy bond to get the work done on their bond's behalf. So it will be done.
So some may not, I mean, I guess that's the reality of it. I can't imagine trying to snowplow on the gravel that was left behind, but I guess.
That's where we're at.
Yeah. Okay.
Not our project.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll make sure it gets restored.
And then one other question that maybe this is more for when we do departmental updates, but I saw that, and I should have asked earlier, the wastewater budget, where it says it was up 40K for the sludge storage and handling. I don't know if I have a good sense as to how sludge is generated and how, is there anything we as a city can be doing to decrease sludge?
I think.
Jeremy?
Yes. What should I start with? So we generate sludge by wasting it out of the system. So as a wastewater plant, we keep a healthy population of bugs in the system, which actually then digest what comes into the plant. But as they age and as more solids come into the plant, we have to do what is called wasting them out to just maintain a healthy population for optimal treatment. When it is wasted out, it goes into a digester for slight storage until it is then processed by our GBT, which is a gravity belt thickener. where sludge, I guess, that is wasted out is thickened to about a 4% cake is what we're available to produce right now, which is then land applied. 4% cake is not efficient at all for a system. It results in 96% of water that needs to get hauled away and then land applied somewhere. So we spent an estimated $190,000 hauling, I guess, 4% of sludge. And I guess the reason why is because of fuel surcharges. When diesel prices increased during the year, we were slapped with surcharges that have gone up. And then I guess that $190,000 was my prediction for where we would end up at the end of the year. As far as long-term fixes for that, it would be process control. So we'd be looking at like a centrifuge system that would further reduce our wasted sludge to like a 14% cake. Or 15% cake, or I guess whatever the system produces, which results in less trucking, less hauling, and I guess a smaller sludge handling contract. But that would require investment in the process.
And I'm assuming that obviously a centrifuge is quite expensive. And I mean, if we could save, we're talking large numbers here, but the centrifuge is quite expensive.
It would be quite expensive, and I honestly don't have a good number to give you, but it would be an investment that would pay for itself eventually in savings.
Jeremy, can you remind me, I might have missed it, what is the byproduct after the digester is finished with it?
So it's cake sludge.
It's cake sludge?
Yeah, so after the digester, it goes to the gravity belt thickener, which then produces the cake sludge.
You know, cow digesters make a nice bedding. Can't we make bedding or something eventually?
I mean, that would be great, but that requires removing a lot of moisture from that product, which would require dehumidifiers and ovens. Like, that technology does exist, but we're multiple steps away from getting to that process in the first place.
Yeah, because then we could sell it.
Yeah, I mean, it would make great fertilizer for gardens.
Yep.
But
Okay, just an idea.
One bag at a time.
yeah. But
Any further questions on either the water, wastewater budget or the general budget? Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Adam.
Yep.
All right, moving on to project updates and staff reports. Anything for Public Works? Water? Police? No? Adam?
Just two things quick. The city did unveil a tree planting program, so if somebody would like to have a street tree replanted in their boulevard, please go to the city's website, and there's a link there to fill out a form, and we can possibly, if we have enough, we've ordered trees, we're just looking for places to plant them that people want to help us water them, because it's a good thing, and we've lost a lot of trees. And then October 26th, from 6 to 7:30, we will have a public open house for the park recreation, or the parks master plan. So that will also be out soon and advertised. That is all I have.
All right. I just want to make a quick comment, reminder that we have an election coming up on November 8th. This is for many, many races. You can go to myvote.wi.gov to get lots of information. You can register to vote either there, or you can come into City Hall and register here. On that website, you can get an absentee ballot. You can see who's on your ballot, see where you're voting, which is in this building if you're from the city of Ripon. Lots of information. Again, that's myvote.wi.gov for the election on November 8th. That's all I have.
Question, can I follow a question on that? Do we know, are you sitting well in the city for volunteers for the election day?
I was trying to send him a mental. It wasn't working.
She intercepted it, so.
So Lena, you got it. We always welcome and encourage anybody who would like to volunteer and assist. We always need more help.
And that's for poll workers, correct?
Yes.
All right. All right.
Just want to remind people out there that the ATV, UTV driving is not in effect yet because we do not have the signs up. I did see a vehicle crossing Douglas Street on Hall Street the other day. just be patient and wait for the signage to get up, then you can go at it.
Any other comments or future agenda items from the council?
I just wanted to thank Naomi for doing such a good job with the minutes. As I read through them, I was very impressed how well you capture the meetings.
It's a joint effort. He reviews them after I. But I.
You take the credit.
Oh, no.
No, I don't want it.
Take a bow.
Anyone else?
That is important.
All right, and at this time, I will seek a motion for adjournment to closed session under Wisconsin Statute 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The topic is a development agreement for residential development, as well as reviewing minutes from July 25th, 2022 closed session for accuracy.
I will motion to adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin Statute 19.851E.
Second.
Moved by Paige, seconded by David. All those in favor of adjourning to closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will adjourn to closed session at 7:49. We'll take a quick 5-minute break while we get ready for that.
I just